Welcome to the year of the snake, everybody. And this is the lunar cycle. We all follow the solar cycle, most of us. But I still feel like this is a very, very interesting time. The reason why the year of the snake seems so interesting to me, and I think there's a lot of metaphysical value to it, a lot of symbolic value to it, and I truly feel like there's so many cultures around the world that this snake emblem is found everywhere. Not only do we find it in the Chinese tradition, we find it in the Egyptian tradition, we find it in the Jewish tradition, we find it in the Nordic tradition, and we find it in the Greek tradition. We have this serpentine emblem following us all through history. With the Christians, we see the serpent seen as a defier or a deceiver. However, we do find in the Chinese that it represents intelligence, protection, and illumination. We find with the Egyptian, it's similar with the by way of Thoth or Thoth, whichever way you want to put it. It is also seen as the illuminator or the protector or the factor of intelligence. With the Jews, we could see it with the shaping of the Kundalini, right? As seen here. And those two serpentines are seen in our day-to-day in our health symbology. Why is the serpentine emblem found everywhere we go? I brought this up because personally, as someone who is part of this ascending grouping, like maybe the rest of you are, we're all on these different waves of ascension. And I feel like for those of us that are on the ascension journey, and for those that do know that we all started in different waves and in different cycles, this Orphic egg, as seen here, the serpentine wraps around. There's different cycles. Even in the Nordic tradition, it was seen as the beginning and of the end. So there is this idea of cycles, but it's all represented in the energy, right, guys? And realistically, this year of the serpent or this year of the snake is not only a lunar representation, but since we started the solar representation in January, some of us are starting a brand new cycle. And with that cycle, I feel that it represents what the serpent has always meant to almost all of the different backgrounds, which is illumination. Not only are we illuminating our minds to everything we've been lied to about, but we're also shedding that skin and we're starting anew. So that's another great attribute about the snake that a lot of people forget to mention. And so I'm going to be talking about that today, and especially to do with the ascenders. I hope you listen in and you take part, because I think this is going to be really interesting. Not only have we noticed that the solar flares have been intensifying in these last years, but so has the Schumann resonance, which is an electromagnetic wave that shoots off from our Earth's surface to the ionosphere. So what I'm saying is, even scientifically, there is actual parameters and measurements that are taking place in this time that are a little different. It wouldn't have mattered if you were born in each one of these waves. You would have only felt the intensity or the intensification, or let's say the DNA activation that was going on for you in these last 5 years or so. And it was done by design. And if you haven't noticed, so has a lot of our dilapidation of our existence, or the cookie cutter existence that was put upon us since the early 1900s. And if you're not familiar what's been going on since the 1900s, I'm going to get into another video about that specifically. But realistically, we were put in this cookie cutter gingerbread existence by major players from major families. And they basically have been puppeteering us for over 100 years now. And for those of us that were born in these waves, we're actually breaking out of that matrix. That's why they call it a matrices, because we're trying to break out of those cookie cutter strongholds that we were put into. But that's for a different day. I'm also going to do a live where we talk about all of these illusions and all of this illumination that's coming from this year of the snake that we're about to be stepping into. So most of you are asking, what is so different about us? What is so different about these ascending waves? Now, what I will say is that what we can all umbrella ourselves under is this idea of starseed. Because realistically, it doesn't matter if you're an indigo, a crystal, a rainbow. Or why I say this is because those are the waves, right? That means that you are part of that wave. They'll just name those the waves, okay? The different time frames. But what does a starseed really mean? It means that you could be a chosen, you could be an empath, you could be a light worker. Who wants to justify who and what they are, and I totally get that. But what I'm saying is that you could see yourself as a chosen, an empath, or a light worker. But what seems to be the same, and it wouldn't matter which wave you came on, you tend to be someone who is sensitive, okay? You're a freedom fighter. You feel like you don't belong here. You fight for justice or injustices. you live in the heart, or the heart space. You work through the heart space, and you don't care about a lot of the fluff and the guff and everything else that's going on in this world. You're more about loving people, and you're a freedom fighter, or an old soul. You feel like you're from another time. That's also a possibility. Or you feel like you know a lot about your past lives. You have a lot of commune with extraterrestrials. Don't worry, this is a safe space. Some of us do feel that way. Are astral savvy, and that's totally cool. Now, I'm going to get a lot from my Bible thumpers out there, but please hear me. This is probably not made for you. But the chosens, okay, it's not to say that God did not select chosens. That is totally true. I believe in that wholeheartedly. But what I think is indicative of the chosens is they tend to be more associated with Yeshua and the angels, okay? Empaths, they could be associated with a whole slew of different extraterrestrials. And the same with the light workers. The light workers can actually be from different time periods, different civilizations. Association with places like Lemuria, like Atlantis. They're associated to certain planets, or certain extraterrestrial groupings, like the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, the Venusians. Okay, or you could be an empath and you could be somewhat associated with different, like avians or Carians or Lyrians for that matter, or even mantoids and anatoids. All these different versions of being, or all these different versions of existence. Or you could be a different dimensional person altogether, or from a different time. That's why some of you feel like you don't belong in this time. So these are all things that all of us as star seeds, okay? And why angels are included in that, because you have to understand, God created everything. Every single type of being, every single type of dimension, every single realm, every single time, space continuum. So the thing is that in this particular world, we are ascending to another level of consciousness, because you have to understand what is taking place right now that is so pivotal, that is going to be different than anything else, is artificial intelligence. A lot of you don't realize that this is the dawning of another intelligence, or another existence, or a birth of a new intelligence on this planet. And it's so important, because the thing is that it's going to be natural born entities, meaning us, versus this new spawning intelligence. And in the wrong hands can go a very wrong way. So you have to know that we were put here for this time, and this exceptional time, that us as those walking this earth right now are going to be elevating in consciousness. And what does that mean? That has to be those that are here to shepherd. There have to be those on different waves, because you have to understand that even though you came on a first wave, a second wave, a third wave, you may have been a very spiritual person, but your activation didn't start until some time ago. And we got activated at different times, and there was a rhyme and a reason for that, because there had to be the way showers. It didn't matter if you fell into any of these categories, you were still a starseed. You were still someone who raised your hand in your grouping. Doesn't matter if it was angelic, doesn't matter if it was Lyran, doesn't matter if it was Pleiadian, doesn't matter if it was Arcturian. You put your hand up when the call came across the universe, and you said, I'm going to come down to earth, to this budding existence, to this budding species, and I'm going to help out and be a shepherd at this time to guide persons in a way to actually elevate. Now, here's another thing I must point out. Because of this year of the snake that we are touching upon right now, there's going to be so much illumination going on. There's going to be so much turnover with right and wrong. Who's right and wrong? Who's right and wrong? What's good and what's evil? What's dark and what's light? And it has to overturn, because in order for us to break out, what people don't understand is this titling actually puts people on platforms. But really, that's not the truth. We are all part of the same source. So it doesn't matter if there are titles or not. There are some of us that are way showers, because we are older souls, perhaps because we evolve at different speeds and different times. For some of us could have souls that are hundreds of thousands of years. Some of us could have souls that are millions of years old. And some of us could be even souls from the Davic realm, meaning that we could be from really high-end ascended masters, reincarnated at this time. So I know that you're going to have a whole bunch of people that are like, oh my gosh, you're coming out of the box when it comes to God and this and that and this and that. Well, by the way, I did start this with the lunar cycle of the year of the snake. And the thing is that we need to start embracing all of the different cultures. We need to start embracing all of the different mythos, because realistically, we we are not just this cookie cutter example of who we are. We are endowed a huge undertaking, most of us, and a lot of us are here to do great work. So before you put a cork on what I'm saying, please know that if you don't feel this way, click off. But if you do feel this way, please like, please share, please subscribe, because we are here to do something big. We are here to do something huge, and it's not going to be about these cookie cutter people that can't seem to get a handle on what's going on. Because when this shift happens, and the next live I do is going to be all about these persons trying to put us back into the jar, so to speak. And I really want you guys to join me when I do this live. It'll be either tomorrow or the day after, because we're going to have a talk about all the things that are popping off, at least in this side of the hemisphere, about how we are to be embracing this year of the snake, and we're supposed to illuminate everything that we are. But I am speaking to this one specific wave of ascenders right now who also just closed a crazy karmic cycle, and you feel like this year of the snake is your year to shine. And I know exactly what you're saying. If you are someone who is in another wave of ascension, you might still be going through your trials, you might still be going through your time period of getting through your pain body and getting through all of your harmony with your healing. Some of us could be on different timelines, right? And what I mean by that is, like, let's say for example, two people start on the same wavelength. They started the jump off point, the race, let's say, and they started this race together, but someone heals a little faster, right, than the other person. Even though they started at the same time, this person did their shadow work a little faster, this person understood the mission a little faster, this person did their leaps of faith a little faster. They might be ahead. Even though they started the race at the same time, they might be ahead, meaning that they might be on a different timeline. So what that means is that the other person who's here, they still have an opportunity to catch up or to go ahead past this person. But let's say for example, the person got to the finish line at the end of the race, right? They go to the next cycle, because usually what this race is about karmic retribution. It's about closing off karma, and this could be karma that has been generational. It could be from your ancestry. You could have come into this particular lifetime to close off a huge amount of karma for your lineage or for your genetic coding that you came with as a starseed. And I might be blowing your mind right now, and if you don't know what I'm saying, then click off the video again. But if you do know what I'm saying, some of us did our karmic trials, some of us passed or graduated, and now we're on the next cycle, meaning that this particular year of the snake is the illuminary year for us. So our year to shine, our year to walk into Dharma and into our greatness after all the years of trials that we went through. So if you're still in the trial portion of your ascension, totally know it's okay. It wouldn't have mattered what wave you are, because that race you could have started at the same time as a whole bunch of other people. And it's not so much a race. I don't want to miswrite it like that or missay it like that, but that's the best way I could describe it. It just depends on how you got through the shadow, how you got through all your training, how you got through your classes, so to speak. And there was always those students that were faster learners, and there was always those that took a little longer. Doesn't mean that we all don't graduate eventually at the end of the road, but what I'm saying is that some of us skipped ahead and skipped some, grades, and we'll just meet you at the end. And that's not a big deal, because in the grand scheme of things, this is a drop in the bucket. If you do like what I'm saying, please like, please share, please subscribe. To all my ascending brothers and sisters out there, this is the year where we shine. This is the year where we illuminate. This is the year we feel illuminated, and I can't wait to see the rest. I love you guys lots. I hope to catch you in the live in a couple days from now. I'm going to put a posting. If you guys want to join in, we're going to be talking about a lot of topics. Have a good one. Bye for now.